Good morning, drawing students. So someone asked me, how do you plan your drawing? So the first thing you want to do is pull up the picture of the person that you want to look at or that you're making the drawing of. And then you can either thumbnail sketch, so decide which way you want your paper to go, and you can draw all the variations of this. In your thumbnail sketches, you're basically making a rough sketch of where you want the person to go and how big you want them to be. And then you're deciding what's going to go around them. Like, do you want to put stars around them, right? Or do you have some other ideas? You're trying to make a design that has uses some of the principles that we talked about, so like movement through the stars. If I was just going with the idea of stars and thinking about this picture, she is facing this direction, so I would always kind of place her so her back was hitting the edge of the paper. And I'm not drawing this with any kind of detail. I'm just drawing like I want her to be positioned here, and then over here I'm going to draw, maybe I'll draw a big old moon and some stars. I'm just thinking about how can I make this paper, the whole thing, look good and position my person. And I can decide if I want my person to be really, really tiny up in the corner. Let's say I'm going to draw it so it looks like she's in a frame on the wall, and around that there's just going to be like the floor and a little table, and I can decide what's going to be there. Maybe there's a cat sitting here. Miss Tran likes cats, so there's a cat sitting here with their tail going out. Now when I make my actual drawing with the grid, if I was using just my thumbnail sketches, I would place the grid only where I needed it to be in that paper, in that small area, and then the rest I would just freehand draw. The other option you have is using your Brushes app. So the Brushes app, I'll go back. The Brushes app looks like this. It's that tiny little paint palette. I had you download this a while ago. You can open a new folder or a new file by just hitting the plus sign. You can rotate the shape of it vertically or horizontally and hit create. At the top there's a little landscape. If you touch that, you can add in the photo of the person, and then with using two fingers you can shrink or enlarge that, put it where you want it to be. Let's say I want it to be up here in the corner. Say I'm going with the design with the frame and stuff. So then I hit accept. Now it's on my paper. If I want to erase around the background of it, I hit the little eraser tool, and then down here I change the size of the eraser tool. If I want to change the way the eraser makes marks, I would choose a different mark. And then I can erase around the background of her. You can zoom in very close, which is nice. The eraser tool that you choose makes a big difference in the type of mark that it erases with, so you have to think about that. You can change the size. If you're drawing from the photograph, you do not have to include the background that is in the photograph. You can make the background anything you want. You only have to draw the person from that photograph. So now I have Miss Tran on a big blank space. Now I can add anything I want to that background as long as I'm using my layers. So over here on the right, there's this two little pieces of paper, or two boxes on top of each other. These are the layers. So I can add another picture to this image by again hitting the little landscape. And then I'm going to go up to my favorites, and I'm going to grab, let's see, maybe I'll grab the earth, right? And I want the earth to be with Miss Tran. I want it to be really big, so I'm going to stretch it out huge. I hit accept. But Miss Tran is gone, right? Anything that also goes off the edge of your screen is permanently gone, so you have to think about that. So if I want Miss Tran to be on top of that, I am going to hold this down and put it there. So now Miss Tran is on top of the earth, and she looks like she's kind of in a weird position. So now I've decided I don't want her to be there. If I want to work with Miss Tran, I have to make sure that layer is selected, so you'll see the blue bold box around it. If I tap on that, then I can go to this little wheel and hit transform. Transform is right at the bottom. If I hit transform, then I can make Miss Tran bigger or smaller, or position her differently. Let's say I want her to be like this. Okay, and then I hit accept. Now if I want Miss Tran to be looks like she's part of the earth or change it in a different way, I can also hit the transparency and make this kind of see-through. So if I'm selecting Miss Tran right here on the bottom, I can take this bar and make Miss Tran look kind of see-through. See, now she's becoming part of the earth. So if I wanted to draw it so she looked like she was kind of invisible, that I could do. So I can go back here, oops, sorry, go back to my layer. If I don't like that look, I can push it all the way back up to being solid. If I wanted the earth to be on top of Miss Tran and make the earth transparent, I could do the same thing. So now it looks like the earth is going over the top of her. Kind of the same effect. But you can play by adding a bunch of layers here. You can only have 10 layers in this app. So if I wanted to select another layer and then let's say draw, I'm going to put this up to full opacity though, so it's easy to see, and I'll move Miss Tran on top of it. Oops. So put her on top of that. Now if I wanted to draw on this, I would select the blank layer, and then I would start to draw by choosing that little brush and then choosing the color I wanted to use. A nice thing about this app is I can hold my finger on any color and copy it. Let's say I just wanted more black, right? I can use that, and then I can take the brush mark, whatever brush mark that is selected, and use it to make another layer. I'll use a color so it's easier to see. Oops. Okay, so I drew on the picture of Miss Tran. I have 3 layers. I have the drawing on the outside layer, I have Miss Tran, and I have the earth. To make your sketches out of this, you can just choose how you want to do it and take multiple screenshots. So I would take a screenshot of this view and save that, and then I would maybe shut off the fuzzy outline and take another screenshot. That would be a second sketch. And then maybe I shut off the earth and then add the cloudy stuff back around to the outside. I am drawing in all these colors, which is weird because I'm going to draw it in black and white. So if I wanted to take the color off of this layer and see what it looks like in black and white, I would hit desaturate, and it turns everything into black and white, so I would have a better perspective. And not now. I would just take another screenshot. So if I keep making changes to this drawing in this brushes app, every time I change it, I would just take a screenshot of that and I would count those as my sketches.